Hokage, Uchiha Prodigy unlocks ultimate analysis system. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 11. Well, it's really difficult for you, after all, the treasures left by these ancestors, even a few of us. But what? Nothing. Several elders looked at each other and laughed. Hee, Yen, it doesn't matter if you don't understand, the old man will explain it for you. Do you know that the blood succession limit of our clan? Hearing this, Uchiha just wanted to roll his eyes. If Uchiha's people didn't know their blood succession limit, they would simply die. Yes, I know below. The elder opened his Senga Jade writing wheel eye and continued, our clan has the most powerful pupil technique blood succession limit writing wheel eye, which is infinitely more powerful than the white eye of the Hyuga clan. I personally watched the family test last time, and your ninjutsu talent is very good, but in our family, writing wheel eyes is more important. Uchiha was silent and waited for the elder to follow. Each of us opens our eyes at a different time, and the old man was only 13 years old when he opened his eyes. Saying that, the elder looked like he was proud of some peerless genius when he opened his eyes at the age of 13. At that time, I experienced war, and my closest companion died in front of me. Hearing this, Uchiha already understood what he wanted to say. According to the age of the elder, I am afraid that at that time, Uchiha fought with the Thousand Hands, and his so-called companion died at the hands of the Thousand Hands clan. Similarly, except for the young Uchiha Kagami, everyone else present probably held a grudge against the Senju clan. Back to business. Elegant. The most important aspect of the codex left by our ancestors is our Sharingan. Yes, I feel it deeply, and yesterday I opened the Sharingan eye in half a quarter of an hour. Saying that, Uchiha ran chakra to his eyes, and in an instant, a pair of crystal red chakra eyes appeared in his eye sockets. This. That. It turned out to be. In the Uchiha family council hall, everyone gasped. The 6-year-old opened the chakra eye. This is probably the youngest eye-opener in the history of the Uchiha clan. Even younger than Uchiha back then. Hiko. Didn't you just say that you didn't understand this scroll? The great elder asked with trembling excitement. This is also the confusion of everyone present. I saw that Uchiha shook his head and replied, I only said that the scroll is obscure, and also, I only understood a small part. Only understood a small part? This opens the Sharingan. The group of Uchiha leaders looked at each other, and only the sound of their rapid breathing could be heard in the hall. Is it Uchiha Hiko's amazing talent, or is the ancestral codex hiding unknown mysteries? Tonight, one person one copy at a time, decrypted to death. Only the young Uchiha Kagami could remain calm, and he looked at Uchiha silently, his eyes were very complicated. This child must be the hope of the family, if this class retires now, he thought to Uchiha Kagami. Suddenly, the patriarch of the first seat frowned and asked Uchiha Yen, Hiko, you really only understood a small part of it, and then opened the Sharingan? You know, when the system parsed that scroll, it found many problems. One of them, which is also regarded as a dangerous item, was directly deleted. And that dangerous item is exactly the radical eye-opening method of writing wheel eyes. That's what it says on the scroll. So, that Mien patriarch asked this question. Could it be that Uchiha Hiko, who had read the scroll, killed a relative in the clan in order to test his strength? Or someone else in Konoha? That's not a good thing. Uchiha looked straight into the eyes of the patriarch and replied calmly, yes, clan elder, you. What was done? The patriarch's tone became cold, it was not killing intent. Certainly not killing intent. It's fear. If a child of this age did something like that, I'm afraid, he is a monster. Looking at the faces of the patriarch and the elders, Uchiha smiled and said, what did I do? Patriarch Hui, I didn't do anything, but when I saw the ancestors' teachings, I realized something. I thought I had spied some secrets of the Sharingan, and I tried it according to my heart, so I opened the Sharingan. What did you say? The patriarch has already used up a year's expression today. Only then did he realize that this kid's way of opening his eyes was different from all of them. They all go through pain to unleash their potential. But he's different, he's a genius. The second elder sighed silently. Feng Kai, he seems to be very proud to say that he opened his eyes at the age of 13, right? Said, right? Can it still be withdrawn? Uchiha replied, the elders of the Hui clan, in the next opportunistic trick, I have the honor to open the eye of the chakra. The patriarch took a breath and looked at the great elder. Although the last family test, the great elder had already created a big surprise for everyone, but today's surprise is already too big. At this time, the great elder, who felt the gaze of the family master, coughed twice, and then said, Yen, this child is always like this, everyone, don't be surprised. Second elder, I still bother you to continue to explain the chakra running technique of our Uchiha clan. Opening the Sharingan eye at the age of 6 does not mean anything. Please continue. The second elder was hit by a crit again. The words fell on him. No, I still want to know, what did this kid Yen find out that it could have such an effect? Several of us have repeatedly interpreted it, but we have never gained anything. Yes, Great Elder. That's right, Hiko, talk about it, avoid detours. Detours? Uchiha sneered in his heart, and he flashed his chakra eyes, just to let these people not continue to be irritable. It's just a pair of chakra eyes. Can you be called a genius at the age of 6? Not necessarily. But it's as if they've never seen the world. What did you find? Uchiha thought for a moment and explained, I just ran the chakra the way my ancestors said, and then I opened my eyes. This? The second elder silently turned off his chakra eye. If it goes on like this, the face of the old man will be lost. They are all from that era, and he can be said to have studied all the scroll records of the Uchiha clan. However, the biggest gain was simply to increase the power of fire ninjutsu. After living for more than 60 years, I have not found any shortcut to the Sharingan. Perhaps, this little ghost is really just luck. Alas, it's just that my family's night string talent is insufficient. The second elder sighed in his heart, and immediately, he straightened up and said to Uchiha Hiko, let's start with the chakra running method of the clan. Episode 12. Uchiha Night String, that is, the spirit boy who was 2 or 3 years older than Uchiha Yen that day of the family test. He was the grandson of the second elder. Otherwise, what do you think the family test is compared to? What is it about? Obviously, all the family disciples that day were eaten to ashes. Lei Dun Ku Wu cut the black iron Ku Wu, and Lei Dun Hua Hua sparked so frightened that others forgot how to make a seal. Today, this guy has shown extraordinary talent again. But when it comes to Uchiha's chakra running method, the second elder is competent. It was precisely after he thoroughly ate the chakra running method of the Uchiha clan that he cultivated the fire escape to the top level. And under his influence, his grandson Uchiha Night String is also beyond his peers in terms of fire. Therefore, he felt that at least in this aspect, he could dampen Uchiha Hiko's sharp energy. Hiko, the most basic chakrati alchemy technique of ninjas, I guess I don't need to say more. Hearing this, Uchiha nodded, yes, well, among the scrolls left by the ancestors, in addition to those Fonkai, the chakra running method is also precious. You should know that some family members have special physiques and can get a large amount of chakra from birth, and our great ancestors have improved the chakra running technique inherited from ancient times, reduced the consumption of general ninjutsu and increased the amount of chakra of our family. Here, Uchiha should shout about the ancestors? If he wanted to cultivate extreme familialism, he felt that it was really unnecessary, because he was an egoist, and he would eat wherever there was good. The second elder became even more energetic when he saw Uchiha listening carefully. You shouldn't have understood all the contents of the scroll, most of it is actually explaining how our clan can obtain more chakras. Yes, the scroll is obscure, and it is stupid under it. Uchiha Hikoto, and Dao. Modest. Then it doesn't matter, the old man is here to solve your confusion today. As we all know, chakra is formed by the fusion of body energy ingested in human cells and spiritual energy of cultivation, and at the beginning, the ninja's chakra refining method was like this, and the family has optimized it for generations to get a better way of refining and running. Saying that, the second elder stepped forward and took out a simple diagram from his arms. He continued, running the chakra through the meridians, stimulating a few fixed acupuncture points, so that the circulation can stimulate more body energy. Uchiha looked at Jian too and couldn't help but sneer in his heart. This picture, he remembered, was also in the old man's scroll. However, this is exactly the drawback that has been purified after the system is analyzed. According to the system description, stimulating these fixed acupuncture points in the long run can indeed increase the production of body energy, but there is still a good probability of suffering from terminal illness. A healthy human body is a sophisticated system, and each organizational system has a clear division of labor, often enslaving one organization to work for another, sooner or later. Therefore, the system directly purifies this drawback. Lord Elder. Uchiha Yen stared at Jian Tu and said with a smile, I'm afraid this is inappropriate, right? Hearing this, the second elder's face changed. What's wrong? Are you questioning the treasures accumulated by your ancestors? Elder, it's not all good things that have been handed down, right? Have you ever heard of evil customs harming people? In the same way, this method was proposed by the 23rd generation of family owners, but 5 of the next 7 generations of family heads attacked it, although they did not explicitly deny it, but the ideas they put forward were completely contrary to it. That scroll, can't understand. But the text is always known, and the concept can naturally read the meaning, and what is not understood is just the connotation of the concept. As soon as these words came out, there was a dead silence in the hall. Whether there was any harm in that method or not, those who had practiced it knew it well. It's just that I was lucky to avoid a terminal illness. Among them, the Uchiha mirror, which had been practiced with the second-generation Hokage Senju, had a certain right to speak. Although Uchiha was unhappy with the 1,000 hands, he had to admit the fact that this person between the 1,000 hands was really not simple. In addition to studying their own bodies, bloodlines, ninjutsu, and even the bodies of the Uchiha clan have done a lot of research. If you work in the research industry for a long time, you will accumulate an occupational disease. As his disciple, and a fairly excellent disciple, he naturally had in-depth communication with Uchiha Kagami. At the beginning, he said that there were some problems with Uchiha Kagami's body and that he should stop a certain behavior immediately. So, he stopped using that chakra operation and returned to normal after 2 years. But this also led to the fact that his strength has been stagnant in the past 2 years. Lord Elder, what Yen said, I think makes sense. Uchiha Kagami was the first to stand on Uchiha Hiko's side. As the #1 powerhouse of the Uchiha clan today, although he is young, his words are not light. Kagami? Yes, Lord Elder, not all treasures handed down by the ancients are treasures, just like what we leave to future generations, not necessarily all of them are correct. Uchiha Kagami's tone was calm, peaceful enough to ease the resentment in everyone's hearts. At this time, the patriarch with a dull expression, spoke. So, Hiko, do you think it's the question of the proposer, or the mistake of the 5 opponents? Hearing the patriarch ask him such a serious topic, Uchiha immediately stood up and bowed his head and replied, I am still young and junior, and I dare not talk about my ancestors. Only the great elder on the side brushed his beard, and a pair of old eyes seemed to see through this child of his own. In the heart of the great elder, such a thought suddenly arose, this Yen boy, I'm afraid he has already read through the scroll. There are too many smart people in this world, but at such a young age, it is rare to be able to see through that hodgepodge scroll. Even he, the custodian of the scroll, has not fully understood this scroll in his hands so far. He looked at the patriarch, his staid face showed a hint of a smile, and said, Patriarch, it is indeed inappropriate to let this child talk about his ancestors. Who does he think is right and who is wrong? He knows a fart. I see, it's better to. Before the great elder finished speaking, the patriarch said, I'm also confused, forget it, since Yen feels that there are loopholes and drawbacks in the chakra operation method, then, what do you think? Hearing the question, Uchiha replied, since there is a conflict in the concept of ancestors, and we don't know who is right and who is wrong, then we should abandon both. Abandoned? Give up the achievements of our ancestors? In this way, I won't pursue it when I see that you are a child, but next time I will say it. To give up is to deny the whole. Episode 13. Uchiha Yen smiled slightly, and then slowly raised his right hand. Above his right hand, a azure blue aura suddenly evaporated. That is, pure chakra. Elder, look, I tried to discard that section just now, and I refined such a high-quality chakra. Is it fake? This is. The second elder looked at the chakra on the young man's arm in front of him, his face was horrified. It is actually possible to manifest the chakra to this extent, they are discussing in the family. Civilian ninjas generally lack blue. Even if he is a middle ninja, he may not be able to show the essence chakra on his arm like Uchiha Yen is at the moment. It's like a blue fire. That requires not only the quantity of chakra, but also the quality of chakra. Hiko. Your chakra turned out, how is this done? A group of people stared at the chakra on Uchiha Hiko's arm, which didn't look like a power that a 6-year-old could have. Before they could see what was going on, Uchiha put away chakra. After all, if he maintains that state, he will always consume blue. Chakra's arrogance was extinguished, and the second elder's heart was also cold. I only felt that my legs and feet were weak, and I quickly returned to my seat humbly. Originally, I thought of frustrating the grandson of the great elder in this regard, but I didn't expect that I would be frustrated by others in turn. His old man's face can be regarded as a loss. Hiko, what's going on with you? Didn't you say you haven't read the scroll yet? Why is this chakra the same as your previous chakra? The great elder was shocked. If the shock of opening the chakra eye at the age of 6 is 10, then the shock of the extremely high-quality chakra just now is 100. Uchiha sighed. Why is this old man always like a reporter? I really haven't understood that scroll yet, I said, and I just temporarily painted the cat and learned a little fur. Temporary? Learned a little fur? If this is a 1,000-handed clan today, he must be beaten to death by random punches. It's so good, such an excellent child, it's their Uchiha family. Rao is Mune's patriarch, and he also understands the situation at this moment. Uchiha Yen is the descendant of the great elder. Uchiha Hiko is the Hiko of the Uchiha clan. With such talent, it is better to pour the power of the clan into cultivation, then he is really a cerebral palsy patriarch. Elders, I have a proposal. He said. The elders immediately set their sights on the patriarch. From today onwards, Uchiha Kagami, let's be Uchiha Hiko's teacher. Hearing this, the party Uchiha Yen was stunned. This is asking him for a tutor? Penetrate. The curriculum of the school is for the shadow doppelganger to deal with, which gives him the whole tutor. If only the beautiful tutor would be okay, at least something could happen, but Uchiha Kagami, this man. I object, I still have classes in the ninja school. Kagami-senpai does not coincide with my time. Hiko, you should understand that letting you go to a ninja school is not to study. There are not many things that ninja school can teach you. You just make some time to graduate early. Kagami can give you more things. The patriarch said. Uchiha Yen set his eyes on the Uchiha mirror and found that he, a busy man, did not mean to refuse, but just touched the back of his head and smiled. Penetrate. As the inheritance of the second-generation Hokage, several people are busy fighting for power. This guy is good, actually has idle work to come over as a tutor? That's it. Scatter, yes. Uchiha never expected that he would install the next door and earn himself a tutor. The next afternoon. Taking advantage of the setting sun, he was carried to the cultivation field. Uchiha Kagami looked at the big displeasure written on his face, and said with a bitter smile, I can't help this, it's the order of the patriarch. In other words, the ape flying sun is chopped to become a Hokage. You don't go to the position of Hokage assistant or something, you actually run back to the family to do things, not afraid that they will eradicate your kind after they take power? Eradication of the same kind after coming to power? What is this saying? Uchiha Kagami was puzzled. Yen smiled, what is this statement? This is today's statement. Forget it, children don't talk about the regime. Today I'll teach you ninjutsu. Uchiha Kagami said patiently. However, Uchiha didn't buy it at all. I don't learn. Practice by yourself, I'll lie down and sleep for a while. Yanjun, you can't be lazy all the time, you are now the #1 seed of the family. Before he finished saying this, he was frightened into Uchiha Yen, don't say I'm the #1 seed or something, don't milk me, I'm afraid of death, huh? What does that mean? It's not interesting, just don't say that about me, taboo, taboo. Uchiha Kagami nodded in understanding, and if he didn't say it, he wouldn't say it. He wanted to teach Uchiha Hiko, but not just because of the orders of the family patriarch. It is he himself who fancied this child. If it is him, it may be able to bring a new atmosphere to the family. Now this family, he really does not dare to compliment. Uchiha Kagami is not the kind of narrow familialist, but watching the decline of the family, he can't stand idly by. Yanjun, how about teaching you the fire Dunhalong fire art today? I said last time that I don't like fire. Why don't you like Hueduan? Hueduan is our family's signature ninjutsu, and there are many collections of Hueduan ninjutsu in our clan, and you should be a great achievement with your talent. Because the fire can't hit people, the famous philosopher Tristana said if you can't hit people, you can't hurt people. Uchiha Kagami is about to be dizzy by this god-man. Who is the philosopher Tristana? Then I'll teach you the ninjutsu you like, don't learn it, okay? Maid. If a natural curly beauty was begging so much, he would have relented his heart a long time ago. Uchiha Mirror is also a natural volume. But. Alas, forget it, you teach, I was born stupid, can I learn to see fate? After getting this answer, Uchiha Kagami was already happy. As long as he is willing to learn, even if he does nothing this afternoon and fights all the chakra, he must remember a ninjutsu. I saw that he quickly sealed the seal and took a deep breath. Fire escape, how dragon fire art. A hideous fire dragon erupted from Uchiha Kagami's mouth, striking straight into the sky. That power is not much more violent than that ordinary fireball. At least there is a shape, which is very ornamental. Wait, I didn't say it, I don't like fire, you can't do this technical job. I don't learn. Episode 14. As a member of the Hao clan, Uchiha has long tested his chakra attributes. It is the dual attribute of fire and thunder. Most of the people in the family have fire attributes, and many people are called geniuses when they have dual attributes, but that is pure foolishness. If the dual attributes dare to call themselves geniuses, then wouldn't that big nose in Yenin village become a god? Nonsense. Nonsense. Hiko-kun, this is a very practical fire attack type ninjutsu, it will not hurt you if you learn it. Uchiha Kagami emphasized. The first time I've seen someone chasing my ass and begging me to learn ninjutsu. Uchiha complained. Yanjun, you said that the fire escape can't hit people, I taught you this fire escape, this dragon fire art is different from the fireball art, when you are proficient, you can freely control the fire dragon to attack the enemy, whether it is power or accuracy is first class. Wait, you said you can control the fire dragon freely? Yes. How did I not know before? Maybe you have always disliked fire escape, not only that, but this technique also has a more powerful derivative ninjutsu. Uchiha Mirror Enhancement Induction. Uchiha Yen immediately stood up straight. He originally thought that the art of How Dragon Fire was also a humble ninjutsu, and he was more impressed, that is, the two pillars were used to shoot at the sky and create cumulonimbus clouds. If you want to create a black cloud and thus use the thunder Chilin, there are many means. There is no need to learn. But now it seems that this fire has something. Kagami-senpai, I learned this ninjutsu. Really? That's great. Uchiha Kagami was overjoyed. Maid. Teach a ninjutsu, people agree to learn, he will be so happy. I didn't expect that my dignified Uchiha mirror would fall into such a situation. While excited, Uchiha Kagami slowly froze, and then took a deep breath. Fire escape, how dragon fire art. The hideous fire dragon flew towards the sky and directly roasted a few sparrows that luckily flew by. Learning fire is very simple. Sea-level ninjutsu, how fireball art, he can use it after reading it once. This B-level difficulty, that is, one level higher than sea level. He has already seen it twice. Imitating the seal of the Uchiha mirror, it ended with the final Yin seal, and the high-quality chakra in the body was transformed in an instant, and immediately, fire escape, how dragon fire art. It was a dark red fire dragon. Compared to the fire dragon of the Uchiha mirror, his fire dragon is even more terrifying. And it flew nearly 100 meters to the sky before dissipating, and the rumbling sound was like thunder. From this remote training ground, it is already so amazing. If it is released on the main street of Konoha village, I am afraid that it will provoke the tea and water delivery in the dark department to serve 24 hours a day. Uchiha Kagami looked at the dark red fire dragon and couldn't help but smacked his tongue. It's so powerful. Yanjun, your fire talent is obviously so high, why don't you like it? You are born with 2 chakra attributes. If you practice Thunder Dun alone, you will be easily targeted by Wind Dun ninjas in the future. But if you double cultivate Fire Duan, won't it make up for the defect? However, Uchiha Kagami's words, left in, right out. Uchiha frowned and asked, I think, this fire dragon can't turn a corner. You lied to me just now, right? He originally wanted to let the fire dragon hover in the sky, but he didn't expect it, and it jumped straight up. Seeing Uchiha Yan's face was not good, Uchiha Kagami quickly smiled and said, Hiko-kun, learning ninjutsu is a process. You are definitely not skilled in the first time, and when you are proficient, you will definitely be able to play freely. Hehe, you better not lie to me, otherwise I won't learn anything in the future. Yes, then practice this ninjutsu today. I'll go first, leave you personal space. Elite Shinobu is elite shinobi, and as soon as Hiko's word was spoken, Uchiha Kagami disappeared without a trace with an instantaneous technique. After he left, Uchiha did not continue to practice. Instead, he slowly sat aside. System, give me an analysis of the fire dragon fire art. Ding dong, prompt the host, start to analyze the fire dragon fire art. It takes time, 30 hours. 30 hours, that is, a little more than a day, probably tomorrow evening. Having an analytical system is definitely more effective than he is here to practice with his head down. Even if you practice today until you are exhausted, you will not be able to withstand the results of tomorrow's overview. So, start being lazy. The famous romantic poet Yasso said, there are 3 great pleasures in life, honor, napping, and hoppaju. There's no honor worth earning now, and I don't want to have a beer belly in the future. So, he chose to go up the tree to take a nap. As soon as his eyes were closed, he heard the rustling of the bushes. This remote cultivation site is surrounded by bushes, and there is only a large tree in the middle, lying on the tree, and there is no view of all around. He squinted, and soon found the source of the sound. What? I thought it was the dark department coming to investigate, but I didn't expect it to be a little ghost. Although his own body is also a little ghost body, he never admits that he is a little ghost. But to say that others are imps is unambiguous. The little ghost was dressed in green clothes, and stuck in the bushes, looking extremely embarrassed and making people laugh. It's too green. Uchiha Yan on the branch laughed, and then shouted below, boy, this is a place for ninja practice, don't get any closer, or you'll die. That little ghost is not a student of the ninja school. Not even chakra. I came here because his dragon fire art had just set off fireworks. Hearing the voice, the criticism boy looked up and searched for a long time, only to find Uchiha Yan on the branch, and immediately called for help. That, can you help me? I'm stuck here, won't you just go back the same way? Huh? This way. Sure enough, it's out, great, thank you, hurry up, don't go near here. He didn't leave, shouting from a distance, that, are you a ninja-sama? Uchiha replied impatiently, yes, if you don't leave, I'll kill you little devil with ninjutsu. Don't. I just want to see how ninjas practice, and I want to be a ninja too. You want to be a ninja, and go to a ninja school, where you are taught how to practice. But, I was rejected. The ninja school won't let you in? You are such a genius, go back to learn a craft, and go into business later, don't. No. I, modern day, must be a good ninja. Even if I don't have talent, I have to become a ninja with hard work. Wait. Mat Day? Episode 15, Uchiha jumped off the branch. This cultivation field is simply a cultivation field of fate. Last time he came here, he found Chimu Shuama chopping steaks, and this time Mater Dai came to study. The gap between the two of them is too big to have any intersection. But their sons like to stir things together. Destiny, this is the arrangement of fate. You want to be a ninja? He asked. Think, very much. Why do you want to be a ninja? Ninja is a profession that kills and is killed. I want to be a powerful ninja and protect the village. Then you better give up your qualifications, you can't become a powerful ninja. Materde's ninja talent is indeed very poor, quite poor. It took 20 years to master it. That A-level auxiliary type, doesn't it have hands and feet? To persuade him is to give him a way to live. However, in the end, he still underestimated Materde's determination to become a ninja. Even if I can't become a powerful ninja, I want to try. Materde's gaze was firm. It was a gaze that Hiko had never seen in the eyes of the children of the Uchiha clan. Okay, you feel free. Uchiha was moved, and after speaking, he turned and left. Seeing him leave, Materde was anxious. Can you teach me how to become a ninja? Hearing this, Uchiha didn't care at all, and replied casually, 500 push-ups, if you can't do it, 500 up, if you can't do it, run 50 laps around Konoha. So it is. I see. Appreciate. Uchiha waved his hand, indicating that it didn't matter. Anyway, he was casually talking nonsense. When he tastes the suffering, he will go back to lying down. 500? Hee 80 can make this little devil who has not yet refined chakra lie down. Go back to the tree and close your eyes. 10 minutes. 20 minutes. He was surprised to find that he actually lost sleep. Bored, he looked down sideways, but he didn't expect that silly Materde was still doing push-ups there. The guy gritted his teeth and his arms couldn't stop shaking. I don't know how many he did, but being able to last for 20 minutes counts as mental toughness. Hey! Uchiha jumped down and landed right in front of Materde. The landing formation frightened Materde to loosen his arms and flutter to the ground. Ugh. Materde, huh? Yes. I am Materde. Well, tell you a shortcut to becoming a ninja. Huh? No, please advise. Uchiha Yen smiled. Sure enough, people are the easiest to accept at this time. He said, that's what I just told you, you don't practice here, you go under the Hokage building to cultivate, and you must practice during the day, huh? But there's Naruto-sama. Did I let you in? You are outside, shouting and cheering yourself up while cultivating. About 7 days or so, you will be arranged to enter the ninja school, and the rest depends on your creation. Ninja school? Me, can I really get into ninja learning? Yes, the rules are dead, people are alive, you just try it. Uchiha said with a smile. Whether it is to show his mind or out of personal appreciation, the ape-flying sun chop at this time will let Materde enroll. Next. Uchiha woke up early in the morning. Because I slept too much yesterday. According to the information reported by the Shadow Avatar last night, today's ninja school is going to have a huge class competition. So, he plans to go to school in person today. Although I haven't been here for a while, I haven't been rusty in the slightest. After all the information of the Shadow Avatar will be feedback, and there is not much difference from himself. After listening to a few theoretical lessons in the morning, by the last session in the morning, the school organized the A1 class to go to the outdoor arena. Today's wind is very noisy. When they had finished assembling, Class B was already standing in front of them. On the opposite side, he saw a handful of bright little white hair. The so-called competition between classes is no longer aimed at winning or losing, but at urging motivation. The elite class has the education method and competitive environment of the elite class. After going to a ninja school, as long as you are a little motivated, you definitely want to enter the elite class. However, the number of people in a class is fixed. Then in this game, it can be seen who is eligible to continue to study in the elite class, who is eligible to be promoted from the second class, and who will fall from the A class. Uchiha didn't pay much attention to the students in the class, but he knew that today I was afraid that someone would be promoted from Class B to Class A. All of them. The two ninja teachers walked to the middle of the two classes, and the teacher of classes shouted, I will announce the rules of the competition. According to the usual comprehensive score ranking, parallel comparison will assign a 1 versus 1 duel, and secondly, the duel will be limited to this circle at my feet, and those who go out of the circle will be regarded as admitting defeat. Do you understand? Understood. The voices of the two classes were like a tide, and they looked quite warlike. Quite simply, Class A has its own pride and disdains Class B. Class B has self-confidence and thinks that I can go to Class A. Uchiha shook his head. This group of 6 or 7-year-old children played this, 6 or 7 years old on Blue Star, and still wrote homework every day in elementary school. Class A Big Snake Pill versus Class B Chimu Shuamao. Hearing the name, the candidates of the two classes immediately stepped forward and walked into the duel circle. If it is a battle in the wild, Chimu Shuamao is definitely not the opponent of the Big Snake Pill. But now the rules of the competition have been added and limited to a small circle, which is beneficial for Chimu Shuamao. His Chimu family's swordsmanship is much faster than ordinary ninja seals. And although Orochimaru is a genius, he is good at ninjutsu. This is embarrassing, my big snake pill. Orochimaru looked at Chimu Shuamao with an unkind face, and as soon as he came on, he was ready to retreat to the edge of the circle. Only by opening the distance will he have the opportunity to perform ninjutsu. Chimu-kun, come on. Shuamao, go and defeat the big snake pill and win glory for our class. I'm sure you can, Shuamao-jun, you are so handsome. Before the battle began, the talents of Class B first gave Chimu Shuamao enough gas. On the other hand, on the side of Class A, everyone understood the strength of the big snake pill, and they didn't care at all. Orochimaru, but someone who can already use the Earth Escape ninjutsu. The white-haired guy in the opposite class seems to only play with short swords, right? Fight, begin. However, to everyone's surprise, the big snake pill actually fought a tie with Chimu Shuamao. Humph, Chimu Shuamao, you are far from that guy. The wind escape I learned is reserved for him, you don't deserve it. While reconciling the seal, Orochimaru smiled secretly in his heart. Episode 16. As soon as it opened, the two sides were tied. This is a good signal for everyone, and instantly stimulates the fighting spirit of both sides. Class A no longer underestimates Class B, and Class B is more confident. Finally. After a few boring punch and foot strokes, it was Uchiha Hiko's turn. A class Uchiha Hiko vs. Bibangado, broken. He originally wanted to have a trick with Kiki Shua Shigeru, and wanted to see what the legendary Konoha White Fan was like when he was young. But he was not matched. Looking straight at it, in front of him was a young man with blue hair, and there was no timidity in his eyes. The other students were somewhat timid in their hearts when they saw the Uchiha clan. From now on, this blue-haired man is very confident in his strength. Fight, start. The teacher shouted. The moment the words fell, Kato broke. It's good to start first. His speed is not much slower than Chimu Shuamao. In this low martial arts stage, everyone's upper limit is not much higher. It's a pity that his seemingly decent speed is like a vicious dog in Uchiha Hiko's eyes. He didn't even have to open his chakra eyes, just with his calm mind, he could peek into all of Kato's movements. Approach quickly, then the left hook shakes, and the right side is the main attack. That's it? Uchiha sneered. When Kato's broken fist was about to hit him, his body turned into a stake. Avatar? Looking at the stake in front of him, Kato was shocked. He thought about the next 3 steps of physical martial arts, but he didn't expect that he guessed the first step wrong. This Uchiha Hiko didn't fight him at all, and directly deceived him with a stand-in technique. In the back. Surprised in his heart, his body reacted quickly and quickly turned around. His reaction is already considered to be a good qualification. However, his reaction was half a beat slower after all. A fist quickly enlarged and finally smashed on the left side of his face that he had just turned. Syllable. This punch is strong. The force on the fist is not great, because he is afraid that if he uses the chakra amplification, he will kill people with one punch, which will not be fun. Ninja schools have a rule that no deathmatches can occur in schools. Abominable. Kato stumbled back a few steps, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said angrily. Hit people without hitting them in the face. Kato-san, come on. The response of Class B began. Break, come on. Break, you will definitely win. Listening to the call of the B class, Uchiha Yen silently glanced at Kato broken. Will he definitely win? Then let you see, what is called the gap. The chakra of the essence in the body began to run at high speed, and the energy of chakra, in addition to being used in ninjutsu, can also be used to enhance strength and speed in physical arts. And how much strength and speed can be increased depends on 2 points. One is the precision of the ninja's control of chakra, and the other is the quality of the ninja chakra. The controls are extremely precise, and you can use the limits of chakra and the human body. The principle of chakra quality is simpler, for example, the performance of human pillar force when using the Tailed Beast Chakra. High-quality chakra, enhanced is not a star and a half. At this moment, Uchiha not only has a good control ability, but the most important thing is to have a high-quality chakra. He moved. This is the first time he has taken the initiative. Chakra increased his legs, and his speed suddenly exploded. He didn't play any fighting routines, because he didn't need to. In the face of absolute power suppression, bells and whistles seemed so weak and powerless. Boom. Uchiha Hiko's body turned into a black shadow, and his fist was like an off-string arrow, mercilessly slamming into Kato's broken abdomen. Under such a huge force, Kato's broken body arched into shrimp, and his eyes burst out. It's like being hit hard by a bull mad in the street. However, Uchiha Yen could not allow Kato to fly out like that. After punching Kato's broken abdomen, he immediately raised his hand and grabbed both of his shoulders. If the force is applied below, and if the upper is caught, his whole body will lean forward. Once leaning forward, then what awaits him is cruelty. and saw Uchiha Hiko holding Kato's broken shoulders, jerked down, and at the same time raised his right leg, and slammed into it with his knee. Duh. Kato was struck by lightning, his brain went blank, and he had forgotten what he was doing. Just after receiving a punch, he will still think about how to fight back. But now the head has been hit hard, the head is buzzing, and the ability to resist is instantly lost. Uchiha let go, and Kato's broken body went softened. With a snap, he fell to the ground. Such violence, such rapid fighting, caused the surrounding crowd to fall into dead silence. Who would have thought that this unfamiliar Uchiha person could have such a powerful physical skill? That kind of explosive power, how young can they learn? They will never be able to learn, because this is not a question of learning or not learning at all, but a talent that they cannot have. The scene fell into a dead silence, and it took a long time for the referee teacher to react. You, Uchiha Hiko. Hey, Kato is okay. Kato-san. God, he wouldn't have beaten Kato-san to death, would he? What the hell are the guys in class be doing? Weren't they just instigating Kato of their class? Why don't they talk now? Jiraiya clenched his fists and looked at Uchiha Hiko's back. He never expected that Uchiha Hiko's physical skills were so violent. If he had been overly provocative that day. It's scary to think about. If I am beaten like this, I am afraid that I will have to be hospitalized. If I mess with Yenseng in the future, I will be guapi, and I must have a good relationship with him. Jiraiya muttered. Orochimaru, who had already finished the match, licked the corners of his mouth, and his gaze towards Uchiha was particularly warm. Hiko-kun has improved again, I must learn more ninjutsu. That day, Lei Dun really scared him, so after he went back, he tried his best to learn a Wind Dun ninjutsu with restrained attributes. But today it seems that Uchiha is not only strong in ninjutsu, but also in his physical skills. It was clear that he couldn't see the traces of his cultivation, but why was it so powerful? Tsunade, the girl group, had the same doubts, and she looked into Uchiha Hiko's eyes, full of curiosity. Family reasons forced her to pay attention to Uchiha Hiko, who was in the same class. The scene of the abuse of Jiraiya that day is vividly remembered, and the use of the doppelganger technique can already be called wisdom. The thunder after that was even more shocking. Fortunately, humans are very adaptable, and when I accepted that Uchiha Yen is a ninjutsu genius, I don't feel strange. But today, she found that she didn't know more than 1 or 2 of Uchiha Hiko's intelligence. Episode 17. If a person only eats one move forever, if Uchiha Yen only has one move back and forth, then she will feel that Uchiha Yen is just a ninjutsu genius. This kind of genius is not uncommon in Konoha, and Orochimaru is one of them. However, the physical ability he displayed today, coupled with the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan, he has no shortcomings, regardless of ninjutsu, physical arts, or illusion. How can this guy be so powerful? At this moment, as the granddaughter of Senjuju, Tsunade felt the burden of responsibility fall on him. The comparison between people never stops, and the competition between families never stops. The Uchiha family specially inserted this person into the A1 class, and she was still in the back row. Now the strength he has shown is already a height that is beyond her reach. Fortunately, today is a class battle. What if one day there is a matching list of Uchiha Hiko versus Tsunade? Starting today, I'm going to work harder. Can't be compared to this guy from Uchiha. The winner, Uchiha Hiko. The loser, Kato broke. Ninja school student duels eventually require the seal of reconciliation. But now Kato is lying on the ground, as if dead, which embarrasses Uchiha Hiko. Without the seal of reconciliation, you can't leave according to the rules, which seems very disrespectful to the other party. In desperation, he looked at the teacher. The strength level of the teacher of Class A is an upper patience, and the insight ability of upper patience is several levels higher than that of lower patience. He can clearly sense the strength of Uchiha Hiko's punch and kick, whether it will kill Kato, and if it will cause fatal damage, then he will use the speed of Shinobu to properly stop the duel at the moment of the first shot. This, for Sharingan, is just a basic operation. I didn't expect this kid's strength to be so strong. It has never been among the students I brought in the past. This kid is afraid of a monster. The teacher sighed in his heart. Just then, he felt Uchiha Hiko's inquiring gaze. Looking at Kato broken lying on the ground again, the teacher waved his hand, and the school medical team that had been prepared for a long time immediately stepped forward and carried Kato broken away with a swift movement. Hiko, there is no need for the seal of reconciliation, you go down. Yes. Uchiha replied, then walked to the other side of the dividing line. Those who finished the game stand separately from those who did not. When he walked over, he found that Orochimaru's eyes had been staring at him, and this feeling was extremely uncomfortable. Orochimaru, what are you staring at me? Believe it or not, I gouged out your eyes. Underworld forces are online. Orochimaru withdrew his gaze, smiled, and said, Hiko-kun, I'm looking forward to fighting you, so let's have one now? That Kato is broken like a weak chicken. I haven't finished fighting, he can't hold it himself. It's really enjoyable. You know, Kato is a very good student even in Class B. Not to mention genius, at least it is also talent. The heart is not the kind of stunned young brother, you can see one or two from the sense of battle. But who knows, he failed in one attack, and was grabbed by Uchiha Yen and beaten with a hammer. The big snake pill's heart tightened. Fighting with this person was something he had been looking forward to for a long time. But how did he retreat in his heart at the juncture? Is it scared? The power that Uchiha Yen burst out just now, there is nothing to be ashamed of being afraid. Yanjun, today is an event held by the school, we better not make trouble, how bad it is if we are punished by the teacher. Huh. Uchiha sneered. Just as he was about to sit down and take a nap, suddenly, a cataract patient came out of Class B. Oh no, white-eyed teenager. Without the teacher's roll call, he took the initiative to come out. Immediately said, Sensei, I request a duel with Uchiha Hiko. I hope that the teacher will agree. Looking at this seemingly polite little fellow, the teacher frowned. I remember I emphasized the rules. Besides, Uchiha Hiko-san is tired after a duel, so you'd better obediently retreat and wait for me to call your name. Hearing his name in the distance, Uchiha looked over. Teacher, I'm not tired. If this classmate of the Hyuga clan wants to challenge me Uchiha Hiko, I accept it unconditionally. To be honest, people have lived 2 lifetimes, and they still hate this kind of people the most. First, he knew that he had only experienced a duel, but at this time, he was not taking advantage of people's danger, but it was also unpleasant. Second, the white eye has proved the identity, which does not rule out the suspicion of family prestige. This kind of person should rub him on the ground. The teacher of Class A is a smart person, he often adheres to the principle that more is better than less, and this principle has blocked a lot of troubles for him. Last time, Jiraiya's conflict with Uchiha Hiko, he directly regarded it as air, and now it seems that the relationship between the two of them is not very good. But this time, the teacher also wanted to see how much potential this Uchiha Hiko still had. The Kato broken ninja just now has a good quality, but his strength is decent, and the Hyuga boy who stood up at this time is called Hyuga Hinata. He has white eyes, and his combat ability is naturally much stronger than Kato's. The contradictions between the 2 major families of Konoha are best disposed of directly in the child, and cannot be allowed to continue fermenting. Today, let's just do one more thing. Well, since Hinata-san took the initiative to challenge, and Hiko-san accepted the challenge, then today I will make an exception and agree to a duel between the 2 of you, and the rules will remain the same. Come on you. The 2 stepped forward and walked into the circle. The distance is only 2 meters, which is very advantageous for the Hyuga family who are good at physical skills. Until the teacher's exhalation, ready, start, Hinata's white eyes opened instantly, hideous green tendons spread all over his face, and his hands started with soft fist moves, which had already attacked Uchiha Hiko. Although it is a soft fist, the number of roads is not soft at all, but pays attention to speed. Is this your capital to challenge me? Uchiha Yen does not retreat, he probably knows more about Jyochuan than this little cub of the Hyuga clan. Sealing caves, internal attacks, and the like. Avatar. Your stand-in technique has been seen through by my white eyes. On the left, really? On the left side of Hinata's wheel, Uchiha has already sealed the seal of his hand, and the transformation of Chakra's nature has been completed. This is fire ninjutsu. Hinata Hyun was shocked, such a close range of ninjutsu, he must not be able to dodge. A defensive move like Hui Tian, he hasn't learned it yet. Episode 18, Fire Dragon Fire Art. Uchiha Hiko's hands were sealed, and the amazing chakra was stirring, and finally transformed into that blazing flame. The flame formed by the high-quality chakra is hotter and deeper in color than the ordinary fire. The dark red fire dragon slammed into Hinata with its fangs open. Before the flames arrived, the long hair that their Hyuga family liked to grow was first roasted and curled. Needless to say, under such a powerful fire ninjutsu, Hinata Nikwa has no way to live. Looking at the oncoming scene of death, Hinata was already scared to the point of quadriplegia, and only fear remained in his mind. He originally thought that Uchiha was at the same level as him, and even if he was not in the same class, his strength would not be too far apart. Moreover, just now Uchiha Hiko broke the battle with Kato, and from the battle, he was confident that he had seen through Uchiha Hiko's attack method. This pair of white eyes, as long as you see through his strength, is the rest good? What's more, using chakra to assist the body to strengthen and accelerate, the consumption is definitely huge. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he will definitely be able to defeat this guy from Uchiha and vindicate the Hyuga clan. The Hyuga clan is the first family of Konoha. However, he never expected that this Uchiha Yen had actually mastered such a powerful fire ninjutsu. Damn a chicken, everyone is 6 years old, why is the gap so big? His white eyes no longer saw a defined future, but the shadow of death. Of course, the teacher of the ninja school saw this, and immediately made a decision, reached out from the ninja bag, and threw out a kunai with a steel wire. The steel wire quickly wrapped around the Hinata sunrise wheel, and then, jerked it out. The fire dragon roared past, and Hinata was picked up by the teacher for his life. The reacted Hinata sat on the ground, gasping for breath, and suddenly, there was a hint of meaning between the nasal passages. He looked down and saw that the ground was already wet. He was actually frightened into incontinence. When he looked up and hurriedly looked around, he found that no one cared about his ugliness at all. A group of people all looked at that Uchiha Yen. It's worthy of being a genius of Uchiha, and he has learned such a powerful fire ninjutsu. Yanjin is so handsome, I really want to go to class A and sit with him. He's too strong enough to foul. Their gaze, adoration, and awe. The man stood there in worship, but he was like a jumping clown that no one paid attention to. Abominable. Damn it. Hinata slammed his fist against the ground, unable to furious. At this moment, the teacher of the ninja school spoke. Hiko, you just used B-level fire ninjutsu. Are you trying to kill Hinata-san? The teacher's questioning was obviously speaking for the Hyuga wheel, but when that sentence came out, it became the last straw that pressed the Hyuga wheel. B-grade ninjutsu? He actually mastered B-grade ninjutsu? Hinata's eyes trembled, and he practiced soft boxing hard every day, but he couldn't even learn the 32 palms of Bagua, and he had already applied B-grade ninjutsu in actual combat. The gap between them was like a cliff in front of him, and he wanted to look up, but all he saw was the boundless sky. Hearing the teacher's question, Uchiha Yen smiled. The consumption of B-level ninjutsu on him was still quite obvious. Chakra's quality had improved, but his small body could not hold much amount. To realize the vision of the chakra engine, it will take time to temper. Teacher, I am not very skilled in using fire shua. Originally I just had the attitude of trying, but I didn't expect that by chance, I succeeded. The teacher was speechless. After all, the hat of deliberately killing people cannot be buttoned indiscriminately. In case he offends the Uchiha clan, he should be cool tomorrow. Looking at the Hyuga wheel, it's not a big deal. This time, it's better to have more than less. Next, continue the game, temporarily add a rule, no use of grade C and above ninjutsu. The teacher shouted loudly. That's a show. The remaining ninja trainees silently bowed their heads. Not to mention C-level ninjutsu, some of them haven't even learned the three-body technique. The next game is like rookie chickens pecking at each other. After the end, as Hiko expected, Kiki Shuamao of Class B was promoted to Class A, and the bottom student of Class A was automatically demoted. As the bell rings, the ninja school begins to boil. From today, it is time for the name of Uchiha to spread. He still prefers to hold activities and competitions in schools, because there are activity competitions, which means that school ends early. Early after school means you can go out and surf. Although he has been surfing, the waves are not tired. Turn left out of the school gate, it is still a bustling street. Snacks and drinks are not interesting. Men's romance, from childhood to adulthood, is dancing guns and sticks. His gaze automatically skipped over those colorful signboards and froze in an ordinary ninja shop. Feet just walked over so uncontrollably. The feeling of walking into a ninja shop is much more reassuring than entering a store. Steel hangs everywhere, revealing integrity from the inside out. The weapons used by ninjas are strange, and the kunai shuriken is only the most basic prop. In addition to these two, there are also scythes, wind demon shurikens, maces, melee swords, chainsaws. Removing these abstract props, he looked at the more conventional weapon, the sword. Boy, what do you want to buy? The owner of the ninja shop saw that it was a child from the Uchiha family, so he asked enthusiastically. The Uchiha clan are the heads of the Konoha police force. Specializing in managing the internal street security of Konoha village, it can be said to be a patrol police officer, or it can be said to be a city management. If you open a store, others can offend, that is, the Uchiha family cannot be offended. Uchiha looked at the sword with the black dragon carved on the knife holder and said, "How much money is this knife?" This knife is a famous knife black cut. The length of the knife is 96 centimeters. It is not convenient for you to use. I suggest you change a short sword. Hearing the name of the knife, Uchiha straightened his eyes. This thing, still called black cut? As for the famous knife, it may be empty nonsense, whether he is famous or not. If you want a short sword, it is too cold, and it is not as cost-effective as a bitter and useless one. Look down on people? I want this knife. The owner of the ninja shop quickly smiled and said, No, I welcome every customer. Young man, if you are sure you want to buy this knife, you need to pay. Nonsense, of course I pay. Then this knife costs 57,000 taels. You don't have so much money, right? Or go home and find. This broken knife is also worth 57,000 taels. I see that a bowl of ramen is enough. This. Episode 19. In order not to embarrass the ninja shop owner, Uchiha turned his head and left. Made, a decent weapon turned out to be so expensive, it was almost a shame. That knife is quite good in terms of material and appearance, much stronger than Ku-Wu, but I can't afford it now. After visiting the ninja shop on a street, it will already be sunset Shishan, although he did not buy a knife, but he learned a little about the current market, which can be regarded as a gain. Back at the mansion, the system's prompt sounded. Ding dong, the analysis of the B-grade ninjutsu Fire Halong Fire art is complete. As you walk, view the results of the system analysis. The mode of parsing is the same as the last time C-level Thunder ninjutsu was parsed. The system has been analyzed from the essence of ninjutsu to this ninjutsu, so fine that it can't be more detailed. As long as it is a person, he can learn it. Analyze the Fire Dragon Fire technique, and derive the general technique of Fire ninjutsu. Analyze the art of Fire and Dragon Fire, and find 13 items that can be optimized. Please pay attention to check it. Analyze the art of Fire and Dragon Fire and discover extendable items. Fire ninjutsu, starting with the change in the nature of Chakra's fire attribute. When the system analyzes the results from the Dragon Fire art, it is equivalent to laying the foundation for him for the ninjutsu of the entire Fire Escape series. From the basic to the concrete, from the concrete. A large number of fire ninjutsu are related to each other, this is a well-known thing. He opened the extension project analyzed by the system and immediately lit up his eyes. This Dragon Fire technique, it turns out that it can derive the Dragon Yen singing technique. Long Yen is no stranger to the art of singing, and throughout the entire Hokage, that is, Madara used it once. Although it is only used once, it is easy to remember. The Dragon Fire art is a solo dragon, and Long Yen Fanga is a group of fire dragons. Greatly improved hit rate. Hiko. I said how I couldn't find you, it turns out that you just came back. A voice pulled Uchiha back to reality. Looking up, Uchiha Kagami was walking towards him. Kagami-senpai, I'm lost, so it's late to come back. It's okay, how did the fire ninjutsu I taught you yesterday go? Okay. Before Uchiha finished speaking, he felt that he was being caught, and then flew with him. After a few breaths, he was taken to yesterday's cultivation field by Uchiha Mirror. To talk about willfulness, or the elite to endure willfulness, with this speed, why not deliver takeaways? Yen, come on, let me see if you have mastered the art of Halong Fire, let me see if you are lazy. Uchiha Kagami said. Hee. Uchiha smiled in his heart. The parsing system is not a decoration. It can not only analyze the pros and cons of this ninjutsu, but also propose optimization plans. Even the derived ninjutsu can be analyzed. Okay then. Uchiha closed his eyes and carefully studied the information given by the system. After a long time, he suddenly opened his eyes and raised his hands to make a mark. Fire. The art of Dragon Fire, compared with the previous use of the Dragon Fire technique, this time it is obviously sharper. This is the feel that normal ninjas practice hundreds of times. Moreover, this time using it, he was able to clearly perceive the connection between himself and the fire dragon, created with chakra. When that dark red blood-like fire dragon appeared, he accused the fire dragon with his own will, circling around the two and circling around. The hot flames surrounded the two, and Uchiha Kagami's eyes widened, looking at this scene in disbelief. It is he, the elite shinobi of the Uchiha clan, and the former guard of the second-generation Hokage Senju, who can't do it like an arm. It was said before that this ninjutsu can be artificially pointed, but that is just an idea. As we all know, concept-oriented things are ideas after all, and it takes countless costs to achieve them. But now, he mentioned it at that time, mainly to arouse Uchiha Hiko's enthusiasm for learning, but he didn't expect that he really learned it in just one day. Such a talent is that harsh second-generation Hokage, I am afraid that he will also be full of praise. Also, they used to call it a fire dragon, but in fact, what they used was just a fire dragon bullet. At this moment, the dragon fire technique used by Uchiha Hiko is the real fire dragon. It was a 15-meter-long fierce fire dragon, and it was not a painting style with them at all. In order to avoid causing a fire, Uchiha let the fire dragon circle twice, then rose up and rushed towards the sky. Phew, the scale of ninjutsu has increased, and the consumption of chakra has decreased, comfortable. Uchiha said secretly in his heart. Just demonstrated such a wave, thinking of becoming a real ninja in the future, and being surrounded by enemies after joining the battle. Such a circling fire dragon, let them surround one to try? Hiko. Your talent in fire ninjutsu is definitely the #1 in the ninja world. Uchiha Kagami is not good at flattery, even when he fights with the second-generation Hokage, he is blunt. This is his heartfelt words. Although there are countless fire masters in the Uchiha clan, and even he Uchiha Mirror himself is an expert in using fire escape, they are not even scum compared to the talent embodied by Uchiha Yen. If such a person is not the number one in the fire talent ninja realm, then who is it? Ninja number one? I'd rather not put a hat on me, but who is the first in the ninja world? Which one will not die early? But your fire talent is really strong, you better learn a few more fire ninjutsu. I know you don't like it. Who said I didn't like it? I'm starting to like it now. Uchiha argued. I used to think that Huadu was an atmospheric ninjutsu and special effect ninjutsu. But now after systematic analysis, whether it is the basic detailed explanation or a large number of use skills, he fell in love with Huadu. Can't hit someone? That's the fire of those younger brothers. Have you ever seen a fire ninjutsu that commands at will, and as long as the enemy is within the sensing range, you can chase the enemy to fight? Lao Tzu will now. As long as the hit rate is guaranteed, there is no need to worry about the power of fire ninjutsu. This change caught people off guard, and Uchiha Kagami didn't know whether to smile bitterly or be relieved. This is genius, no way. Then, let me teach you the art of fire escape phoenix flower today. In the face of geniuses, there is no greed and chewing, and the teaching is over. As long as he is willing to master a large number of fire ninjutsu and pile them up, he can become a powerful ninja. Uchiha nodded. Uchiha mirror slowly sealed, Zen ugly. Fire escape phoenix flower art. Multiple fireballs spread out in all directions like the seeds of phoenix flowers, and finally hit the only big tree in the training ground according to Uchiha Kagami's intention. Episode 20. Well, this technique is very flexible. But I'm an asterisk. That's my favorite tree, you actually burned it for Lao Tzu. A roar frightened Uchiha Kagami and hurriedly used water to extinguish the fire. Fortunately, the art of the phoenix fairy flower is flexible, and its power is not as strong as the art of the dragon fire, otherwise he would have to apologize to the family today. Sorry, I made a big tree a target in a moment of excitement. Uchiha Kagami smiled and apologized. Seeing that the fire was extinguished, and the branches on the tree for him to lie on were not damaged, Uchiha didn't care. Immediately, he imitated the seal of Uchiha Kagami Fonkai, Zen Uglyin. Fire escape phoenix flower art. The so-called one law is universal, and Huaduan is one of the specific examples. Its ninjutsu characteristics are the same, but the form is different. 5 small fireballs erupted in succession, flying into the sky in irregular paths, and finally intersecting with a point of explosion. Learning a ninjutsu after only one look is just the basic operation of a genius. If you can't even do this, then don't be called a genius. Uchiha Kagami nodded and praised, it's worthy of you, the talent for fire ninjutsu is really high. Uchiha didn't reply, and suddenly, he felt something. Before he came, he had already seen the derivative ninjutsu Dragon Yen singing technique opened by the system analysis of the Dragon Fire art. Now that I have learned the art of phoenix flowers, let's look at it, the so-called Dragon Yen singing art, is it not a combination of the art of Dragon Fire and the art of phoenix flower? As soon as he thought of this, he couldn't contain the urge in his heart, took a slight breath, waited for some chakra to recover, and then practiced. The system has already told him the knot and principle of derived ninjutsu, and if you want to use it, you only need to practice. With practice, there are successes and failures. But at this time, he had mastered the art of how Dragon Fire and the art of Phoenix Immortal Flowers first, and it was not a problem to succeed in one go. Hiko, what's wrong with you? Uchiha Kagami was still wondering how Uchiha was in a daze, and suddenly, he looked solemn and raised his hand to seal it. After a while, Uchiha Kagami could already feel the change in chakra on his body. You are. Fire Dragon Yen singing technique. A large number of chakras gushed out, changing from nature to flame, from flame to fire dragon. It was 5 lifelike dragons of flame, arranged in regular arrays, circling the sky above the 2 people. The hot flames triggered the air current, blowing the 2 of them in hunting clothes. Maintaining this huge lineup of fire ninjutsu, Uchiha Yen was a little struggling. Although this is a ninjutsu with great artistic appreciation value, he does not have so much mind to appreciate it now. When he really couldn't hold on, he used his last strength to command the 5 fire dragons to fly towards Chonyu in unison. Rise. Uchiha Kagami stared at the 5 flame dragons flying into the sky with wide eyes. He could accept a junior to polish the fire ninjutsu to perfection, but he couldn't accept a young junior to draw inferences and develop an extremely powerful fire ninjutsu. This is too foul. The huge fire dragon has exhausted Uchiha Hiko's chakra. Although the small body has the Book of Uchiha as the foundation, the recovery is relatively fast, but the upper limit of chakra's capacity is so much. What limits him is currently only physical age. Hiko, you actually developed such a powerful fire ninjutsu. Uchiha Kagami still looked at the sky and was amazed. When he reacted, Uchiha had already sat on the ground, his face weak. Yes, a child, no matter how amazing his talent is, he can't withstand the consumption of large-scale ninjutsu. This kid, has he already mastered B-grade ninjutsu? In an interior of the Hokage building, Sarutobi asked with his hands crossed. As the third generation designated by the predecessor, he still has a lot of things to pay attention to in Konoha. The two between the Thousand-Hand Pillar and the Thousand-Hand Pillar are both powerful people. They can manage this village well with their own strength and ability, and the village also trusts them. And now, the Thousand Hands brothers have both passed away, and the heavy responsibility has been handed over to him. He's more stressed than anyone else. Among the Senju clan, there is the Master Mother Mito pressing, but it is nothing. But Konoha was originally founded by a group of family joint ventures. He now not only has to manage the civilians of the village well, but also pay attention to the movements of the major families. The slightest carelessness will cause turmoil in the village, which will lead to even greater disasters. The Uchiha family is a tenacious family, weakened, still strong. This is his focus on the object. Fortunately, one of his former teammates is a member of the Uchiha clan. At this time, he looked at the academic file and fell into deep thought. Here is Uchiha Hiko's performance in school, as well as the results of the dark investigation. There is never a shortage of geniuses in Konoha. A child born in Uchiha, he mastered a family C-class fireball technique before entering school, and he was able to accept it. But ninjutsu with B-level difficulty is qualitatively different from C-level ninjutsu. At the same time, the chakra needed for that dragon fire art is not something that ordinary children can supply. This kid. Sarutobi frowned, and found two other pieces of information from the pile of documents. One of them, the photo of the big snake pill pasted in the upper right corner, is exactly the picture. For quite a while, how much he admired the child of the great snake pill. His talent was brilliant. As long as he personally cultivated it, he would definitely be his best heir in the future. The other one, with a photo of Tsunade, pasted in the upper right corner. As the granddaughter of the original Hokage, Tsunade's qualifications are not bad, but she prefers the medical ninjutsu aspect. If I put these three children together, I can rest assured. As soon as the words fell, he noticed the change in the sky. It was still a clear evening, but suddenly, the wind suddenly lifted and the sky was covered with dark clouds. Changed the sky? The ape-flying sun chop, who was entangled indoors, did not know that this was Uchiha Hiko's gift to the heavenly fire, and now God is returning the gift. He went to the window and looked up at the dark clouds in the sky. His mood was like a cloud in the sky, cloudy and misty. Young in power, there is no stable reliance at the top, and there are strong competitors below. The Sarutobi clan couldn't help him much in this situation, and Mito, who was the master of the nine-tailed pillar force, couldn't offer more help. And now, although the overall situation outside has stabilized, no one knows how many enemies will be worried about losing the village of Konoha between the Thousand-Hand Pillars and the Thousand Hands. Sarutobi looked at the ancestor Hokage hanging on the wall and fell into a long silence. Let's appease the Hyuga clan first.